Hi there, and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at notes 4.2, writing equations in point-slope form. We're going to be looking for 6 things to write down today, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to know is what is point-slope form. So here is an example of what point-slope form looks like. And we are going to go and copy that down in our notes. It's basically just in a different way that you can write a linear equation. Instead of doing slope-intercept form, point-slope form is just a different method. Let's go ahead and take time now to pause the video here so you can write down what you see, and then once you're done, click play. So the next thing we're going to do is actually I'm going to show you how to write this in point-slope form. Remember, point-slope form looks like this. And what I'm going to do is basically plug in my values. The first value I have is -8, and that represents x. So that's going to go here where the x1 is. So x minus -8. The next value I have is a 3, and that represents the y. So I'm going to plug this in here. Y minus 3. The last value I have is slope, and slope goes where m goes. The only thing I do need to show here is the simplification of x minus -8. That's actually going to change to x plus +8. So my final answer would be y minus 3 is equal to 1/4 parentheses x plus 8. Another little hint for you, just to make sure that your equation is correct, you can go back and plug in the x and the y values, and it will give you 0 once you plug that back in. So you're going to try both 2 and 3 here. Again, you're going to be using point-slope form, so just make sure you plug in the correct numbers and values where they go, and then click play when you're ready to check. So let's go ahead and pause here. So for number 2, the first value I'm going to plug in, I'm actually going to start with my slope, so it's -2. And then x is 3, so x minus 3. And then is equal to, on the left side, I'll have y minus the -1, which will make it to be y plus 1 is equal to -2 parentheses x minus 3. So here is your correct answer for number 2. For number 3, I'm going to go ahead and plug in my slope again first, so -2/3, and then parentheses will be x minus 4, and then over here on the left side I would have y minus 0, but really you don't have to keep that as y minus 0, you can just write it as y, so this one will look like this. Y is equal to -2/3 parentheses x minus 4. And we're just assuming that because there's no number with the y, that y is equal to 0 for that. The next thing we're going to do is write an equation whenever you're just given 2 points. Remember, you can still find slope given 2 points by doing the change in y over the change in x. Remember, that looks like this, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what I'm going to do is take -2 and do -2. And 3 minus 1. So that's going to give me -4 over 2, which is equal to -2. So my slope is equal to -2. And then I basically just pick a point. So I'm going to, once I've found my slope, so remember my slope's going to go here. Now I can just pick a point. And I'm going to pick 1, 2 because they're both positives. So I'm going to say x minus 1. And then for y, I'll say y minus 2. If you use the other points, that would be fine as well. I just choose the ones that are going to be easiest for me so that I don't have to simplify them anymore. It does say to continue to write this equation in slope-intercept form. And remember, slope-intercept form looks like this. Y is equal to mx plus b. So now we're kind of just putting them both together. So this is why we learn point-slope form, so that we can also translate it into slope-intercept. The first thing I'm going to do is distribute my -2. So -2 distributed will be this. -2x plus 2 is equal to y minus 2. Then I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get y by itself. So y is equal to -2x plus 4. Okay, so again, just make sure your final answer is in slope-intercept form, not point-slope. So here are two that you're going to try. Again, you first need to find your slope, which is using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then also note that it says write the equation in slope-intercept form. So use point-slope to find your slope-intercept form. Let's go ahead and pause here so you can try both 4 and 5, and then once you're done, click play. So for number 4, I did 10 minus 4 over 3 minus 1. That's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I get 6 over 2, which is equal to 3. So my slope is 3. And then I'm just going to use these first 2 points, 1, 4. So I'm going to have 3 parentheses x minus 1. And then for my y, I'll have y minus 4. Now I'm ready to start putting it into slope-intercept form. First, I'm going to distribute my 3. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And bring down my y minus 4, and then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I get y is equal to 3x plus 1 for number 4. Okay. Number 5, again, I did y2 minus y1, so that's negative 4 minus negative 1. Be careful with those double minuses. And then 8 minus negative 4. Remember, these are going to turn into plus positives for each one. So negative 4 plus 1 will give us negative 3. And then 8 plus 4 will give us 12. So this is going to be a slope of negative 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to plug that in. And this time I'm going to use the 8 comma negative 4. Again, if you use a different one, you still should get the same answer. So 8 comma negative 4, that'd be x minus 8. And then over here I would have y minus negative 4, which is going to mean y plus positive 4. So just make sure you changed it to y plus positive 4. Now I'm ready to go ahead and put these into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute my 1/4, so negative 1/4 x, and then 1/4 times 8 is going to give me 2. So negative 1/4 plus 2. So I have y plus 4 is equal to negative 1/4 plus 2. Then I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides to get y is equal to negative 1/4 x minus 2. Okay? The last little bit we're going to look at is when it says write a linear function f. So your function's name is going to be f of x with values f of 4 is equal to negative 2 and f of 8 is equal to negative 4. Remember, we can count this as 4 meaning x and equals to negative 2 equals y, because f of x, the full thing, is equal to y. So you're basically just saying the points we're looking at are 4, negative 2, and 8, comma 4. Then we can go ahead and find your slope and then write it in function form with that. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1, so 4 minus negative 2, and x2 minus x1, x8 minus 4. 4 minus negative 2 is 4 plus 2, that's 6, and then 8 minus 4 is 4, so I'm going to get 3 over 2 as my slope. So I'm going to write that in slope-intercept form, 3 over 2, parentheses, and I'm going to use my 8 comma 4 values. I'm going to say x minus 8, and then on the left side I'll have y minus 4. Now I'm ready to distribute and write my linear function in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute the 3/2. I'll have 3/2 x, and then 3/2 times negative 8, that's 3 times negative 8, which is negative 24, divided by 2 is negative 12. And then last but not least, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I get y is equal to 3/2 x minus 8. But I do want to name this function f of x. So my answer here will be f of x is equal to 3/2 x minus 8. Okay, so very easy. Again, you're just using the points that are given to you right up here, and then putting it in point-slope form, and then finally putting it in slope-intercept form. So here's your last one in your notes. Let's go ahead and try here. So your function will be called g of x for this one, because it says a function of g. So let's go ahead and pause the video here so you can try number 6 by yourself, and once you're done, click play. So the values given to us is 2, 3, and 6, 5, because remember, this is x and this is y. I'm going to go ahead and find my slope. So I'm going to do 5 minus 3 over 6 minus 2. 5 minus 3 is 2, and 6 minus 2 is 4. So that's going to be 1/2 as my slope. And then I'm going to use the points 2, 3 in my problem. So x minus 2, and then is equal to y minus 3. Go ahead and distribute your 1/2 x to your x and your negative 2. So I get 1/2 x minus 1. And then I would get over here y minus 3. And then add 3 to both sides to get y is equal to 1/2 x. And that'd be plus 2, because you had a negative 1 there originally, but we're going to name it g of x instead of y. So g of x is equal to 1/2 x plus 2. There's your answer. That's going to conclude our notes today on point slope form. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.